Thanks for listening to Exploring the Wine Glass podcast, the podcast for people who love wine. I'm Lori Budd, a UC Davis winemaking program and WSET Level 2 graduate. You can find Exploring the Wine Glass on all the socials as well as your favorite podcast catchers. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. I promise I'll never tell you what to drink, but I'll always share what's in my glass. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Exploring the Wine Glass brought to you by Dracaena Wines. Today we are returning to Winephabet Street where the letter of the day is F and it stands for Fume Blanc. Have you ever had Fume Blanc before? Before you answer, I'm going to guess that you actually have. I'm going to give a little spoiler alert here for the podcast right now, but Fume Blanc is Sauvignon Blanc, and I'm pretty sure that almost every wine lover out there has had Sauvignon Blanc at some time in their lives. Join Debbie and myself today as we discuss the history of Fume Blanc, where that name came from, and why it's not called Sauvignon Blanc, the general characteristics including a little pyrazine study, and some food pairings to go along with your glass of Fume. So unscrew, uncork, or saber a bottle and enjoy listening to this episode of Winephabet Street. And please, help me out by rating and reviewing the podcast. Sláinte!
So welcome to Winephabet Street, everyone, in this crazy time.
Yes. So I am officially day drinking because it is only 2 o'clock here in California. Debbie is acceptable.
Here.
She's 5 o'clock.
Time.
But I honestly have a feeling that with this corona pandemic going on, there is quite a bit of day drinking going on all over the place. So, welcome to Winephabet Street. Thanks for joining us. We hope everybody is staying safe and being smart. And, maybe we stop hoarding toilet paper and, being stupid. Let people who kind of need it get things also. Yeah.
So I think with the state of everything, before we even start, we should pour ourselves a glass of wine.
Okay, I agree with that. And I
have to show you my wine glass today. It's got WTF, LOL.
I think we're at WTF.
I think so too.
So what do you have, Deb? Oh, you have Ferrari Carano. I have Dry Creek. So what's interesting is, Deb, you know what a Ferrari Carano freak I am.
I know. When I bought this, I was hoping you weren't buying it because I only had 2 choices, and the other choice was like twice as much.
Oh, wow. So
yeah,
we went into Total Wine. I had to have Mike with me because, I can't carry anything. And I went straight to look for my Ferrari Carano, and it wasn't there. So I had a couple to choose from. Not a lot, but I had a couple to choose from. So I went with Dry Creek. So
yeah, I got Stu Leonard's.
All right.
Driving back from New York.
So in our day drinkings, let's be safe out there. Sláinte.
Cheers. This is nice.
Yeah, it is a nice wine.
Really nice.
So is this. So is Dry Creek. All right, here we go. So I'm Lori. My husband Mike and I own Dracaena Wines in Paso Robles. We were actually there yesterday, and it was desolate. But we are. Everything is now shut down, and we just hope that people start being smart or continue to be smart, I should say. And let's get over this pandemic. And I hope everybody has a lot of wine in their house to get us through this. And as a little sidebar, we just started $5 shipping for a $150 order. We're going to ship anywhere for $5. So head over to Dracaena Wines and help out small business because...
I'm Debbie Giaquindo. I'm the Hudson Valley Wine Goddess. I'm a wine writer, wine blogger. a certified specialist of wine, and a wine location specialist in port and champagne. I am also the author of Tapping the Hudson Valley, and I'm a partner in a restaurant in Stone Harbor, New Jersey called Kitchen 330. We are planning on opening April 3rd for the season. We're all going to get through this with the help of each other. Programs like this or any type of programs where you can have interaction with other people. We got to laugh. We can't lose our humor and take it day by day.
Yes, I agree. So I saw this picture, and I don't know if it's not really going to work for the podcast, but for people who are watching, I thought this was the most hysterical. So I'm a huge Scooby-Doo fan, so I cracked up hysterically. And for the podcast, it is an image of Fred, and there's like a ghost, and it says, "Let's see who's really behind the coronavirus." And then when they pull the mask off, it's the Charmin bear. So I thought it was hysterical.
I've seen some really cute stuff. But.
Yeah, people are being very clever. I do like the drug deal ones, some of the drug deal ones, like the people walking the street and paying the hundreds of dollars for the Purell and the roll of toilet paper. But I think the funniest one that I've seen so far was a woman standing with 4 other people at a bus stop, and the woman sneezes, and the one guy takes out a gun and shoots her, and then everybody else takes out Lysol and starts spraying each other down. So
I don't know. It's crazy out there.
I laugh at it. I hope that people realize that it doesn't need to come to that. But some people are very, very clever.
Well, funny. I was in the grocery store this morning. I went to buy, I have to make brownies tomorrow, so I needed Oreo cookies, and I needed vanilla frosting. So I knew they weren't going to be sold out of those. And I'm walking down an aisle, and there was an elderly gentleman, and he starts coughing, and I was just like, oh my God, don't you know? Like, get out of the store and do it. I'm sure, like, he had emphysema or something like that, but things that cross your mind, it's just like.
Right, I know. And
really?
It is never, well, I can't say never before. If I'm in a store and somebody's hacking, no matter when it is, I'm like, really? Can you just not, cover. Ugh.
Yeah. So, but anyway.
So let's get on to some much better stuff. Let's talk about Fume Blanc.
Yes.
So I have the history. Fume Blanc, honestly, is the best marketing scheme of all time. It is pure marketing brilliance. It is an acknowledgement to the grape variety that was brought to the United States from the great Chateau d'Yquem in the Sauternes region of France. And for anybody who doesn't know, it is Sauvignon Blanc. That is all it is, marketing ploy of Sauvignon Blanc, thanks to this man here. So Robert Mondavi was making a Sauvignon Blanc in the 1960s, but at that time, the reputation was actually really a sweet wine because it was produced in such mass production after Prohibition. So Sauvignon Blanc really didn't have a great following. It was kind of thought of as plunk. So it wasn't making a large impact on the community of the United States. So Robert Mondavi, in order to just avoid the bad rap that Sauvignon Blanc was getting, he decided to change it to Fume Blanc. Now, he didn't just pull this out of, his hat. There's reasons why he chose Fume Blanc. So he actually conjured the name by combining the French term fume, which means smoky, and is, forever aligned with the AOC Pouilly-Fume region in the Loire Valley. And that's what the locals call Sauvignon Blanc. The reason it is referred to smoky is if you look at the grapes as they grow, as they ripen, they are actually rather small and very tightly packed bunches. So they're said to resemble bird eggs. And as they mature, they start to get a gray bloom, which is similar to the color of smoke. Now, bloom is a term, like a color term. It's not a bloom because bloom can be something really bad. But it gets to just get this grayish color to it that looks like a smoke or a haze, and that's why they started calling it Fume. So in order to help differentiate his Sauvignon Blanc from the other wine regions of the world, he decided to age his wines in oak. So typically Fume Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc is stainless steel. So he rather generously decided not to trademark it. Like he came up with Fume Blanc, and he could have very easily trademarked it so that Robert Mondavi Winery would be the only ones who could use Fume Blanc. But he kind of, not that I knew him, but you always get the impression that he was always all about the good of the wine industry and the good of the valley and things like that. And so he purposely didn't trademark it so that he could so that other wineries could actually produce a bottle called Fume Blanc. So as I said, the big difference is oak versus stainless. Now, although he aged his Sauvignon Blanc in oak, it doesn't necessarily hold true that all producers do so. So depending on the style you prefer, that's what you need to pay attention to, is whether or not the winery that you're purchasing the Fume Blanc from sees oak or doesn't see oak. But what you can expect is that if it does see oak, it's going to be a little bit rounder, richer, and you're going to have more melon-like flavors. And Sauvignon Blanc aims to bring out the grassy and sharper citrus aromatics of the varietal if it's stainless steel. So me personally, I'm a stainless steel fan when it comes to Sauvignon Blanc. There could be a hint of the oak, but I like that crispness. I like that citrusy part of Sauvignon Blanc. Doesn't necessarily need to go to the New Zealand in-your-face grapefruit. I don't need all that, but I do like the stainless steel better. So let's talk about Sauvignon Blanc. Now, first, anybody who knows me knows that I have a special relationship with Cabernet Franc, and Cabernet Franc had a special relationship with Sauvignon Blanc. So Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc got together, and they naturally cross-pollinated, and that's how we got Cabernet Sauvignon. And I have obviously, everybody knows I've made it my mission to give Cab Franc the due justice that it deserves, that rather than just Cab Sauv. Now, until Cab Sauv's parentage was decoded, it was actually thought that it had to have been another red grape that paired with pollinated with Cab Franc, because until Cabernet Sauvignon came around, no scientists, no botanists realized that a white grape could give rise to a red grape. So it really is a very important crossing, other than the fact that it involves Cabernet Franc. So I'll go off on a little tangent of science. So when you think of dominant and recessive genes and all that, in order, if you have two people who have blue eyes, you're not ever going to have a child who has brown eyes, because brown is dominant over blue. So if somebody has blue eyes, that means that they have two recessive traits. So there has to be something recessive, dominant in this Sauvignon Blanc to allow to have a red grape varietal come out of having a white grape being apparent. The first mention of Sauvignon Blanc, which was known as was in the early 1500s. The term Sauvignon came from the French words for wild, sauvage, and vine, which is vigne. And we only know about one of Sauvignon Blanc's parents, which is Sauvignon, making it related to Gruner Veltliner, Chenin Blanc, Sylvaner, and Verdejo. And I don't remember what we were talking about, Debbie, but you talked about Sauvignon previously at another Winephabet Street.
Yes, and I'm trying to remember what one it was.
But maybe it was Gruner, because it's related to Gruner, so maybe it was. Maybe it was Gruner Veltliner. Its relationship to Sauvignon led to confusion when the first cuttings were brought to the United States from Bordeaux in the early 60s. A group of vines were actually mislabeled as Sauvignon musk. Consequently, they were planted in California and were sometimes referred to as Sauvignon musk, but later they were correctly identified by our favorite ampelographer, Pierre Gallet, as Sauvignon Blanc. Finally, in 1999, Carol Meredith, who is actually the same person who ID'd DNA analyzed Cabernet Franc's lineage, tested Sauvignon musk and confirmed it was indeed Sauvignon Blanc. So Sauvignon musk is now thought of to be an aromatic clone, and its official name is Clone 27 of Sauvignon Blanc. So as you're hunting around for Sauvignon Blancs, some of them might actually mention Clone 27, and then you are talking about this Sauvignon musk. Sauvignon Blanc's existence in California began in the Livermore Valley in the 19th century. Charles Wetmore, after becoming the first president of the California Viticultural Commission, flew to Bordeaux and obtained cuttings of Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon from Chateau d'Yquem. These cuttings are now known as Clone 1, and they are planted throughout the entire United States. Throughout the entire state of California.
Wow.
So, all thanks to Chateau d'Yquem.
Alrighty, so we have the characteristics. So I pretty much went with pretty much straight Fume Blanc, and the one thing, and you covered it, and there's going to be a lot of us duplicate information here, is to understand Fume Blanc, you have to understand that in the 60s, Sauvignon Blanc was known as a sweet white wine, and Robert Mondavi was so inspired by Polyfume wine that in the process of what he did with the Sauvignon Blanc, oak agent and stuff, he called it and labeled it Fume Blanc. Fume Blanc, it kind of helps differentiate the sensory profile from a Sauvignon Blanc. Even though it's the same grape, most of the time it's processed differently. Not all the time is it processed in oak. But when it's processed in oak, Fume Blanc has less pyrazine characteristics associated with it. So when I say that, those type of characteristics are your bell pepper, herbaceous, gooseberry, grass, lemongrass, tarragon flavors, and more. So it kind of like mellows those characteristics and that stuff out. And the wine tends to have more of a tropical and citrus profile, which I'll tell you my Ferrari Carnero, I'm having such difficulty speaking today, does. You should have seen me. I was trying to tape a podcast earlier, and it was just like, what is my problem? But anyway, they tend to have more citrus and tropical fruit than the high acidity, and I know that grapefruit is citrus, but the New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs have that like robust grapefruit.
In your face.
Yes, in your face and there the next day.
Yeah. Yes.
To oak, not to oak. Fume Blanc typically sees a bit of oak, and what this oak does to the wine is it creates a rounder feeling on your palate. It's a little bit more, it's richer. You're going to get more lemon flavors. The oak actually tames the acidity down, so you don't find that racy acidity that you see in say, and I hate to pick on New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs, but you don't get that racy acidity that you see in there. Like I said, most of the time it is put in oak. Sometimes it is not. But that's, the winemaker's choice on how they want to label it. But at the end of the day, like Lori said, it's all been a marketing thing to indicate that really that they aren't purchasing this racy, acidic, picking on New Zealand, Sauvignon Blanc. So that's pretty much what I have on the characteristics. It's kind of nice because this my Fume Blanc really demonstrates the lime,
yes,
the melon flavors of the wine.
So does this. So my Dry Creek is 2018. It is actually from Sonoma County. The fruit comes from Sonoma County. And they're telling me it is in a sandy loam soil. It is fermented to dryness, and it is on the valley floor. And this is something that, it's 13.5% alcohol. But what's interesting is it says, it tells you the vine age is six plus years. So kind of young vines. But I like it. I like it a lot. I think it does see a little bit of oak. It's definitely not, because it doesn't have the eye-watering palate tearing, tearing, watering that a pure stainless steel will have. And it's got the lime, and guava is big. But it doesn't have, there's a hint of grapefruit, but it's not grapefruit forward. It's actually more guava forward than anything else.
Mine, you can just smell the lime, citrus, not so much grapefruit.
Lemon lime.
Yeah, that's what mine is. But on the palate, I have lime, pear, melon.
Yeah, there is pear.
It's just really delightful.
Yeah, it's Ferrari Carano. Did you pay $10 for it? 11?
I think it was more like 15.
Oh wow! Oh, and you're landing.
I got it at Stu Leonard's in Paramus.
Oh, okay. All right. That's a little high. That's a little high for that, because I typically pay around $11. $11 for that.
At Gary's?
At Gary's. Yeah.
I should have. There was a Bottle King, but that was on the other side of the road when I was driving back.
So mine was $10.99 at Total Wine. It was interesting because I really learned a lot about Dry Creek that I had no clue. And we had visited there a couple of times, but I had no clue that they were so entrenched in the history of Sauvignon Blanc and Chenin Blanc. It was interesting to read their story. So this is Dry Creek Vineyard, and it was the first new winery established in Dry Creek Valley after Prohibition. And it was David Stayer's vision to plant Sauvignon Blanc that firmly cemented the winery's legacy as one of California's most important wineries. So he's like the first to plant in that area, Sauvignon Blanc, and the first winery after Prohibition to become a winery. So, and there he is. David headed west in the 1960s after graduating from MIT, so he's a smart guy, and realized that his job at B&O Railroad Company was not where he wanted to be. He wanted to be in the wine industry. So David founded Dry Creek Vineyard in 1972, and prior to his arrival, there was only prune orchards and family-run farms in the whole Dry Creek area. So he was really a visionary. Upon arriving in California, he attended UC Davis and spent his free time looking at vineyards between Monterey and Mendocino. So he'd spent a lot of time in a car. When he finally made it to Dry Creek Valley, he saw an old prune orchard and realized that this was where he wanted to start fulfilling his dream. So he purchased the land and began planting. And he had a huge love for the Loire Valley wines, so he knew that he wanted Sauvignon Blanc. But he wanted Sauvignon Blanc to be his flagship wine. But everybody he was bringing in to help, I guess, consult about the soil and consult about what vines he should plant were all telling him, no, don't plant Sauvignon Blanc. Don't do it. But he was like, nope, I'm doing it. And, 50 years later and 2 generations down, he is, he is the Sauvignon Blanc king, basically, in Dry Creek Valley. They actually produce 5 different types of Sauvignon Blancs, including one still this one that is labeled as a Fume Blanc. The rest of them are all labeled as Sauvignon Blanc, and they are in different styles. So this is the label for my wine, and it is this wine is modeled after the classic wines from the Loire Valley in France. This has I
like that label.
Yeah, so they have like two different label types. They have their Dry Creek Vineyard, and then they have the Sailor series. And this is part of their Sailor series. And not that I read it anywhere, but I tend to think the Sailor cities are the one, Sailor labels are the ones that you're going to see in more bulk.
Okay.
But I didn't read that anywhere, but just looking at what they sell under with the Sailor concept, I think that's the way it is. So this one actually has no oak for the crisp. It's crisp and expressive flavors. Now their tasting notes lead with grapefruit, and I would not lead with grapefruit on this. I would lead with guava, but they never even mentioned guava. So that goes to show you that everybody's palate is very different. I get a hint of grapefruit, but I would never have led with that. To me, it's much more in the guava. I can see pear, white pear, and I get lemon lime. Like, when you first open a Sprite.
Yes.
That's what I get.
I get more lime in here, and melon and pear, both on the nose and on the palate.
Melon, yes.
Honeydew. And actually,
honeydew.
When I purchased mine, I thought of you because I know how much you like Ferrari Carano, and I thought, I just hope you don't get this, because it was this, and I think my other choice I had was Grinch Hills.
Oh, Gurgit Hills?
Yeah, and I think it was like twice as much.
Oh, that had to have been like $50.
Yeah, and I was like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah. Fume Blanc should be sitting on the back porch enjoying this,
Exactly.
$10 a bottle, $11 a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I got the Ferrari Carano, and
I love that place.
This is the place. And hold on a second, let me get my notes up here. So Ferrari Carano, it's in Healdsburg, California, and it's founded by Don and Rhonda Carano, and it was founded in 1981. And they both are natives of Reno, Nevada. Sadly, Don passed away in 2017. Their experience in the wine industry was they were in the hotel industry, and they developed the Eldorado Hotel and Casino in downtown Reno, and they went to Sonoma to look for wineries for their wine list at the hotel, and they ended up buying a 30-acre parcel in 1979. So they started, as many wine people do, making wine in their barn, and they felt that they were onto something, so they purchased more vineyard land. And in 1985, they broke ground on their winery in Dry Creek. And in 1987, they released their first wine. And actually, their first wines that they released was in 1986, Fume Blanc. So they released that in 1987, along with a 1985 Alexander Valley Chardonnay. Today, they have 24 vineyards scattered throughout 6 appellations. They have vineyards in the Alexander Valley, Napa Caneros region, Russian River, Dry Creek, and Mendocino, Anderson Valley. They did earn in 2015 their California Sustainable Wine Growing Alliance certification. And this is the wine that I have. And I must say, it's really good.
It's a good Fume.
Like I said, I will say the grapes are from various appellations in Sonoma County and Dry Creek, Alexander, and Russian River valleys. When the grapes arrive at the winery, each lot is gently pressed, and they put it into stainless steel tanks for 48 hours for cold settling. The juice is then transferred to tanks and French oak barrels for fermentation. And then the wine in the barrels is thoroughly aged and stirred every other week for 2 months, and then they blend it. About the 2018 vintage, they said it was a great year, great weather conditions, had good berry set, average rainfall. It was warm during the summer, no drastic, outrageous heat. Rain events allowed for longer hang time, and it led to full ripe flavors. It was 65% in stainless steel tanks, 35% in French oak barrels that were used. Like I said, mine is, I smell mostly lime and pear and melon.
So Ferrari Carano is the wine that got me into wine. So I always...
Is it really?
It is.
Aha wine for your...
My aha wine. It was a 92 Chardonnay. And I tasted that wine and I went gaga over it. Oh my God. Mike went everywhere in the state of New Jersey to buy every single... Talk about hoarding toilet paper. Mike was hoarding Mike was hoarding Ferrari Carano. He bought every bottle that he could find in the state of New Jersey. And
wow.
I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. And the interesting thing is as much as that's the wine that got me into wine, and I loved every single bottle that I had of it, I can't drink that wine now. Because it actually is a sweeter Chardonnay, a buttery Chardonnay. And it is not a butter bomb like Rombauer. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with people who love butter bombs. That's why they make them. But my palate has changed so much over the years that that's not a wine I would choose anymore, because it still has too much buttery. But the Fume Blanc, I always pick that up. I think it's a wonderful wine, and it's consistent. It's well made vintage after vintage.
And I thought of you when I bought it.
Yay.
I was like, I just hope Lori doesn't buy this.
So my other Ferrari Carano moment is right now, and I'm gonna blank on her name, and I apologize. They actually have a female winemaker now, but back when I was really, really Ferrari Carano insane, there was a gentleman named George who was their winemaker. And most people go ooh and ah over like movie stars and things. And I really don't ever, flying back and forth from LA to, Newark. I was on so many flights with movie stars. They never bother, whatever. But give me an athlete and I'm, oh my God. But we walked into Ferrari Carano and we were down in their lower area where it's a specialized tasting area, and George came walking out of the back room, and I hit Mike. I'm like, oh my God, that's George. That's the winemaker. That's what. And he's like, how do you even know that? And I'm like, I don't know, but that's him. And he heard me because you know how quiet I am. And he came over and started talking to us, and then we sat down, and he opened up so many additional bottles for us. So I had a private tasting with him, and we bought some bottles, and he signed one of them, to Lori, and when we moved out here, it didn't make it. I have no idea where that. I mean, it was empty.
Oh, really?
The bottle was empty. But we have like 6 bottles that are special bottles to us, and most of them are signed bottles or something that's sentimental to us. And he was the 7th bottle, or there's 5 bottles left, and he was the 6th bottle, and that bottle's not anywhere to be found. And
wow.
I have it's not like the moving company is going to steal a bottle. My guess is that when they were packing, they broke that one.
Maybe.
So I'm a little upset that that's the bottle that didn't make it here. But yes, I do bow down to Ferrari Carano. They are They are the reason why I got into wine. And I did try to get them, but so that would have been 2 months in a row we had the same wine.
Yeah, same wine. But we did. So
All
you
right.
want to do food pairings?
Yes, food
And I have
pairings.
to tell you what I have this paired with, because I'm going to go eat dinner when we get off.
Okay.
I made.
What?
I have to cook it.
Okay.
A crustless asparagus quiche.
Oh, that. I think that's going to be good.
I'm cooking it in my whatchamacallit, iron skillet. It's made with ricotta cheese. I put some scallions in there, cheddar cheese, eggs, Parmesan cheese.
So it's more that Mike would call that like a frittata, right?
That probably is a frittata, right? And I'm not a big frittata person, but I'm like, I didn't feel like making a crust, so.
And you can't go to the store and buy it because I'm sure that's all sold out too.
I don't even know. Actually, you know what I could have done is I have some Pillsbury.
Oh yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, but it doesn't matter. It's already made. I just need to put it into the oven.
So another sidebar, Camilla Mann, who's part of the Wine Pairing Weekend, you know, Mike's birthday was the 14th, was Saturday, but that's Pie Day, right? So she was trying to make pies for Pie Day, and she went to the store, and all of the butter was wiped out. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I understand the sanitizer. People are out of control with hand sanitizing. Yeah. Just I get it. I get soap. I get that. I don't really understand the toilet paper thing. It's only 2 weeks. You don't need 100 packs of toilet paper for 2 weeks.
No.
But I can kind of accept that. Butter and flour? Are people are we going back to like the Middle Ages where people are, you know, like what?
I don't know.
Why is butter and flour?
Maybe they're going to bake.
I don't know. But I thought that was very interesting.
I went for Oreos and Frosty.
That's the important stuff. That's the important stuff.
Brownies.
Yeah. And now a word from our sponsor. Exploring the Wine Glass is brought to you by Dracaena Wines. Dracaena Wines is an artisan winery located in Paso Robles, California. They have been producing wine since 2013. Their first vintage began with one wine, their classic Cabernet Franc, which received a 91 in Wine Enthusiast. Since then, they have increased production, received several accolades, including double gold medals in the San Francisco Chronicle Wine Competition and consistent 90-plus ratings. In addition to their classic Cabernet Franc, they now produce a single vineyard, single clone Reserve Cabernet Franc and a Rosé of Syrah. Although they've increased production every year, they continue to sell out each vintage. Find out more about Dracaena Wines and their award-winning wines at dracaenawines.com and let them help turn your moments into great memories. All right. So I am on food pairings, and I really was supposed to do food pairings this month, so I was right on spot. So I decided that for food pairings for this, I was going to go to the wineries themselves and see what they actually recommended to go with it. And notice what is underneath that, Deb. Do you see? Asparagus. So Dry Creek Vineyards, the wine I have, actually recommends Block Island Sea Bass with brown butter capers and lemon, and it is on a bed of asparagus. So I think your meal is going to kick butt with your wine. Now, Ferrari Carano, they suggest an apple, leek, walnut, and blue cheese tart. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Now, I'm not eating that. I would have to eliminate the blue cheese. But you're putting cheddar in yours? Is that what you put in yours?
I put cheddar. Yeah, I probably should have put Swiss or Jarlsberg.
Yeah, I'm thinking that a Jarlsberg. That's what I was thinking.
But and I thought about it, and I was second guessing myself because I do have Jarlsberg in the house, and I'm like, should I do Jarlsberg or cheddar? And I'm like, I had more cheddar than Jarlsberg, so call it food rationing.
There you go. But and again, leek is another difficult wine pairing.
I put scallions in it, so
yeah, it's
the same.
It's a difficult
family.
wine pairing. So I think you're going to rock that pairing tonight. I really do. Again, from Ferrari Carano is prosciutto, peach, and arugula crostini. And now I don't get peach in mine. Did you get any peach?
No. It called for peach in the tasty notes, but I didn't get any peach.
But can't you envision peach going exceptionally well with it? Like I think peach is good. I think peach will pull out so many flavors.
Maybe it needs to warm up before the peach comes into play, because that happens also a lot with wines, especially white wines. As they warm up, you start to get a different flavor profile.
Correct. Now, again, why you're gonna rock your meal tonight, Deb? Baked ricotta stuffed zucchini. So again, you've got the ingredients that they're all recommending: asparagus, you've got the ragout, cheese.
And I'll tell you, these were all stuff that I had in my refrigerator. I had to use the asparagus; they were there too long.
Okay.
I got the ragout because Paul made lasagna last week, so that needed to be used. There's all things that I needed to use.
So it was a fridge dump that just worked out perfectly.
It was a fridge dump.
Okay. But this is from Petronacelli. And honestly, I didn't know they made a Fume, but it might have been a Sauvignon Blanc. That might have been for Sauvignon.
Okay.
They call it Sauvignon Blanc. But I didn't know they made that. But this looks delicious. And chicken saltimbocca. That's from me.
You got the jus on that?
I actually made that. That's from there.
I can't wait to eat after this.
And then back to Dry Creek Vineyard, braised black sea bass. And, I can never do a food without talking about cheese. So cham, I don't know how to say that. But remember, Calm was how we did, the region is Calm. So it may be that. But that's a cow and a goat, or actually 2 goats. So those are options for cheeses. And there you go. Food pairings for Fume Blanc or Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, grilled shrimp. That sounds good. Yeah, that'll taste really nice with this. And Lynn, I'm starving now, and I cannot. The quiche is going to take whatever.
Well, it's only 2:45 here, so I have a long way to go. And
I've got the fast facts. Fume Blanc is Sauvignon Blanc. And
hey! Nice picture.
Fume Blanc in 1968 as a marketing term to differentiate his Sauvignon Blanc from the sweet Sauvignon Blanc. To differentiate it from the sweeter style, he put it in oak barrels and called it Fume Blanc. And this, it was a time where Sauvignon Blanc was considered boring and was used for sweet wine production in the United States. So that's interesting, because I can't see it. Well, yeah, I can see it as sweet. I've had it as ice wine.
Yeah.
I actually have had it as ice wine. So Fume Blanc isn't necessarily oaked. Robert Mondavi intended only to find it as an alternative name for Sauvignon Blanc with no reference to production style or method. But I would tend to say the majority of Fume Blanc that you're going to find is oaked. So Fume Blanc is somewhat, I would say, a U.S. thing. Mm-hmm. But, however, in Victoria, Australia, Taltarni Vineyards has used the Fume Blanc since the early 90s because of the wine style. They really like it aged, particularly in new oak barrels, but also to disassociate the wine from the nearby Sauvignon Blanc stereotypes. This wine is more about texture and complexity, which isn't associated with the Sauvignon Blanc, especially, we're going here, New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. The Fume here is more of a tribute to the Polyfume, where they obtain a more toasted and flint notes from their soils as they try to obtain that from the oak. So their Fume Blanc is creamy finish, where the Sauvignon Blanc is driven by fruit intensity and acidity. And so this shows they produce both. They produce a Sauvignon Blanc and they produce a Fume Blanc. So, one for each palate on what people like and what people don't like.
Or whatever mood you're in.
Exactly. And Sauvignon Blanc Day is always the first Friday in May. So Friday, May 1st, 2020 is Sauvignon Blanc Day. So I hope everybody will go out on May 1st, grab a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc. Hopefully we will be able to go out by then and enjoy it with some friends.
Oh, yes. If we all could just go out. Better be able to go out by May 1st. Oh, my God. I'm hoping for April 1st here.
Yeah.
We will see. But all that matters is that, people try to be respectful to each other, do what they're supposed to do.
Yes. And use common sense.
Use common sense.
You have to.
So, but we are going to attempt to stay sequestered as much as we can because California really is cramping down on things. But he's at work, so life has to go on also. So all I hope is that if you are home and your children are home from school, as a teacher, have fun with that.
I hope you have lots of wine.
Yes.
Remember, you can order the wine online.
Yes.
You can order from the wineries online. Please do that. Order from your favorite winery. UPS, as far as I know, is still delivering. I had a UPS man here today, and I had a FedEx guy here today. So, support your favorite wineries. Yes. Don't lose your sense of humor.
Nope. You need our sense of humor. More Scooby-Doo memes, please. And
so,
in the meantime,
thanks for joining us.
Let's raise a glass.
For everybody listening and watching at another date.
Let's come together as a community. Wine lovers unite. We're a great community. Let's share it. Yeah. Okay? Sláinte.
Cheers.
This has been another episode of Exploring the Wine Glass. Thanks for listening. If you have suggestions on what topics you would like me to discuss, please reach out on social media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Exploring the Wine Glass. I'm also on LinkedIn as Lori Hoyt-Budd. Of course, you can always email me at exploringthewineglass@gmail.com. If you enjoyed our podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast catcher to help others find me more easily. Until next week, sláinte.